Good morning, everybody. Hey, Juicebox. Welcome. Welcome to Let's Talk Astronomy, everybody. Welcome, replay viewers. Welcome, you live viewers, too. Hey, your first day. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Hi. 9 planets by the chromatics. 9 planets by the chromatics. Here they go. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to go through the terrestrial planets first here. Good morning, everybody. Next is your home planet, the place of your birth. It's the solar system gardens got the precious planet Earth. Hey, Joel. Nice to see you. It's a shame about the atmosphere. It could have been thank you. So nice. I appreciate that. Thank you. We'll pause you right there, guys. We'll pause them right there. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk Astronomy. Good to have you all here. Not this semester. I am teaching this semester. I've got 5 classes this semester instead of the usual 4. So that's what took out my Wednesdays. So I just didn't have enough time. Not enough hours in the day to do all that. So welcome everybody to Let's Talk Astronomy. My name is Dennis Hands. I'm your host here. I teach astronomy at High Point University. I've been doing astronomy since I was about 10 years old, and I like talking about astronomy, like doing astronomy. So here we do astronomy. If you want to talk about politics or religion or something else like that, there's probably a better scope out there for you. But here we're going to do astronomy. Hello, fellow Earthling. Yes, thank you. Nice to be from Earth. So I hope you can stick around. We're going to be here for about an hour this morning from 8 to 9. And we've got some things to talk about. We've got a challenge. I've got some questions, some trivia questions, if you would call them that. I don't know if they're trivial, but trivia questions. So welcome, everybody. Good to have you here. I want to remind you about my charities, that if you like this kind of scope and you want to support it, don't send me any money. Please don't. But if you go down here to these dots down here in the corner, there's a link to my blog. It's called An Island in the Sea of Mystery. And if you go to my blog and you go to how to support right here, there's a list of my charities there, and you can give there. Michael J. Fox Foundation. There's the Guilford Senior Resources. There's I'm Still Alive. There's the Guilford Animal Shelter, and there's the Joe Klein Memorial. So if you want to show support, I invite you to go there and give to one of my charities there. No, I'm not Einstein. Thank you very much for the compliment. I'm not Einstein. Einstein was a lot smarter than I am. I think I might be a little bit better looking. A little bit, maybe. A little bit. I don't know. I like to think I'm a little bit better. He's certainly a lot smarter, so I want to have an edge on something. Hey, Jorge, nice to have you here this morning. Good to see you today. Yeah, the same wig. Yeah, I think I've got it on straight this morning. I don't think it's... Yeah, I've got my wig on straight. Good morning. Good to have you here. So let's see, charities, yes. If you want to show support, go to my, hey, you're right on time, man. If you want to show support, go to my blog and choose one of my charities and give to one of those charities there, okay? So they're good deals. Barbara and I give to those charities. We give our time and our money to those charities, so good to have you here. Today's calendar. Today is February 18th. Well, I think a lot of flat earthers are misled. It's apparent that the Earth is not flat. If the Earth were flat, the cats would have knocked everything off by now. So it's apparent that the Earth is not flat. That's obvious. So my calendar for today, here we go, February 18, Monday, February 18, here we go. Since Mars is tilted differently than the Earth, the polar North Star would be different if you were stargazing on the Martian surface. If you landed in the northern hemisphere of Mars, Deneb, the brightest star in the constellation Cygnus, would be the closest thing to a polar star. It would still be about 10 degrees from the north celestial pole of Mars, but as Mars rotates, all the stars in the sky would seem to circle a spot near Deneb. So Deneb might be considered the North Star if you're on Mars. So that's today. That's February 18th. February 18th. And that's the calendar fact for the day. Calendar fact for the day. Hey, thank you. Yes. Well, I think I'm a little bit better looking. A little bit. Maybe. Maybe. Let's see. At school this week we're going to be working on Skynet, which is our system of robotic telescopes that we have a contract with. They're in Chile and they're in Australia and there are other places of the world. And my students are taking pictures with those and analyzing the pictures, taking pictures. Oh, you got it. Okay, good. Hey, isn't it remarkable, Jorge? Isn't it a remarkable little book? It is so packed. Skynet, yes. It's not the Skynet with Arnold Schwarzenegger, okay? It's a different Skynet. But if you Google Skynet astronomy, you'll probably come to the UNC site that runs Skynet. So it's pretty good. And I think they even take private subscriptions, so you can pay money and get to use the telescopes. But our school pays money, so our students can use the telescopes. But they're taking pictures of the planets. They're taking pictures of some deep sky objects, some stars, some clusters, some galaxies, and some planets. And they're going to be analyzing those and doing some. This Skynet is a collection of telescopes that are remotely accessible through computer. And so my students are using those to do some research. A good astronomical software? No, I really can't recommend that. The planetarium software that I use is Stellarium. And it's a nice free piece of software. And that's, I don't know if you'd consider that astronomical, but there you go, Stellarium. No apocalypse yet. No apocalypse yet. Now, there have been lots of stories, lots of rumors about the coming apocalypse. And there have been all of them through history. And, you know, all the rumors, all the stories about apocalypse have one thing in common. One thing in common that they all had in common. They have all been wrong. No, I never did. Never did. I was very lucky. My mom would take us to the library and we'd check out books. So even though we were poor, I did not go without a book. I had books. So Skynet, my students are doing that for this week and next week. They're going to be introduced to Skynet. Well, they've already been introduced to it, but we're going to take some pictures and I'm going to introduce them to how to do some real analysis with their pictures. And last week we did a scale model of the solar system. We did a scale model of the solar system. Today is our Venus day. We have questions about Venus. Stellarium, that's the correct way to spell it, yes. It's a free download. I'll be interested in seeing the sun rise in the west. That would be really a neat trick. I'll be interested in that. And next week, at the end of the broadcast today, we will vote. So whoever's hanging around at the end of the broadcast, I'll take your votes about what we do next week. Okay? What topic our quiz, what topic our challenge will be about next week. So it's been raining here the last couple days. It was cloudy Friday night, so there was no time at the observatory. Last weekend, we had a great time at the observatory. We managed to avoid some of the clouds last Friday. Not this Friday, but last Friday. And then the Thursday before that, the day before that, we had some Girl Scouts out at the observatory. So that was fun. Like 10 years old. A bunch of 10-year-old girls. You know, they could get loud. When one of them got loud, the rest of them got loud. It was amazing. Well, Pluto is not considered a planet today. It's considered a dwarf planet. But Pluto doesn't care. It's just going about its business, doing whatever Pluto does. But we've had different categories. We've put things in different categories before. And as we gain more knowledge and we look at things with a more skeptical eye and we get more information, we categorize things differently. Back in the 1800s, I think it was in 1800, in fact, scientists discovered what they considered a planet between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter, and they called it Ceres. And for about 50 years, Ceres was considered a planet until about 1848, something about that time. They realized that Ceres was out there with a whole bunch of other things, and they recategorized them asteroids. So Ceres was a planet. Then it was taken off the list and became an asteroid as we gathered more information. I think the same thing with Pluto, that it was considered a planet for a while, and then as we gathered more information, we found out that it's not alone out there, that there's lots of things out there with Pluto, and some of them may be even bigger than Pluto. We decided to have a different classification, so we invented dwarf planets. So, no, it's not a planet anymore. I was against it being changed. I didn't know any better. I wanted Pluto to stay a planet because it had always been a planet for me. I grew up with it as a planet. I like the idea of a planet being named after a Disney character. But it was pointed out to me that in science we change our categories. We change our classification of things as we gather more information. Hello, Tiki. Hi, nice to see you. We change our classification of things as we gather more information. And there is one subject, there is one topic, one area of study where that doesn't happen, and that's in religion. And so it was pointed out to me that I had to decide what I taught. I had to decide whether I taught religion or if I taught science. And I decided I teach science. So as we gather more information, we change our ideas, we change our categories. So last week, my students can say about living on the moon. Nobody does it. Nobody's living on the moon. It'll be hard. It'll be a harsh life. It'll be interesting. Hello. Nice to see you, Speed. It'll be a harsh life to live on the moon. We should have colonies there now. We should. Good day. We should have colonies there now. Good full moon. Okay, yes. It'll be nice. Yes, and sometimes we have to wait for the old generation to die off, too. Oh, okay, good. So you change every 7 minutes? Is that like a core belief? Is that a belief that doesn't change? Ooh, that doesn't work, does it? Ooh, sorry. I don't know. I know very little. I know very little about religion. But that's what we had to decide. Here in America, our predominant religion, Christianity, tends to hold things to be eternal, like Jesus' love and stuff like that. Eternal. I'm confused already. How old am I? I am so old. Let me give you a hint. I was born under the greatest. I was born when the greatest person to ever serve as president was in office. The greatest person ever in office. He dropped the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. No, way before. Oh, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. No, 10 years before Kennedy. 10 years before Kennedy. I was born in 1951. You do the math. 51. Well, it's not all about Venus, but our quiz is about Venus today. Our quiz is, look in the Observer Handbook. 48 stars. Truman, yes, Truman. The Observer Handbook. And we voted last week, and you voted to do questions today about the section on Venus. And that's what we have today, Venus. 80, yeah, that's me, 80 years old. I wish. One day I might be that way. I come from a long line of old people, so I hope to grow into it. I think my grandfather was pretty old, my great-grandfather. Well, I thank you very much. That's very kind of you. I think Einstein was a whole lot smarter than I am. I think I'm a little bit better looking. Truman, a socialist? Ooh, my goodness gracious. He would not appreciate that. He would not appreciate that. Truman, a socialist. That's funny. I think... oh, okay. Yeah, it was a pretty good joke. Is there a Tesla Roadster? I think he shot one up there. Durham, hello. Welcome, Durham. This is Greensboro, North Carolina. Good to have you here. Welcome. Good to have you here. So last week, we made a scale model of the solar system. And using an 8-inch bowling ball. Now, this is not an 8-inch bowling ball. Okay, this is a rubber ball right here. Thank you very much. Thank you. Tiki, I think I got one contribution of yours many moons ago, and I responded to that, but I'll look into it again. If you could tell me which one, or if you could drop me a note on my blog, that'd be great. But if you use an 8-inch bowling ball, 8 inches would be about out here, okay? A new one, okay. 8 inches would be about out here, but this is pretty close. If the sun were an 8-inch bowling ball, I had my students make a scale model of the solar system, and we started with an 8-inch bowling ball, which is slightly larger than this, and they made the planets. So here we go. Here's Mercury. Now this is pretty close. When they squished it to tape it onto the card, it got a little bit bigger than it's supposed to be. Okay, but that's Mercury. Okay. And the ball is a little bit small. That's Mercury there. Venus. This is pretty close. This is pretty good. This is an eye-opener for the students to do, to make a scale model. Venus there. Earth. Here's Earth. Okay, Earth, very small. About the same size as Venus. Just a little bit more massive. Just a little bit more massive. There's Earth. Mars. See, they made the scale models of the planets, and we taped them onto the cards. The king of the planets. Here's the king of the planets, Jupiter. And this is about right. It's about walnut size. Jupiter would be about walnut size to an 8-inch bowling ball. Yeah, Mars is much smaller than Earth. Much smaller. Saturn, a little bit smaller than Jupiter. Saturn, a little bit smaller than Jupiter. And then we have the rest of the gas giants, the frozen giants. Uranus, and finally Neptune. And then the last planet of the traditional planets, Pluto. Pluto, very small. This is probably a little bit too big. But what we did, this was part of the fun part. This was just the beginning of the fun part. It was making the cards. And once we made the cards, we took the bowling ball and the cards and went outside. And we made a scale model of the solar system. Not just a scale model of the planets, but a scale model of the solar system. And we walked it off. Our scale, since the sun is about 800,000 miles in diameter, and a bowling ball is 8 inches, that gives a scale of 1 inch equals about 100,000 miles. And Mercury is something like 7 steps away from the sun, 7 yards. And then Venus is another 10, I think. And then Earth is another 7. And you start to get, these yards start to add up. And actually walking the distance and having the space between them gives the students a real sense about how much space there is between the planets. So it's not just the sizes of the planets that we were looking at, but also the spaces in between. So that's what we did. It is insane. I've taken science teachers out on this walk, and it is eye-opening, because we can all look at tables of numbers and see all these numbers and see the sizes of the planets and the distances from the sun. But to actually use your body and go and step it out and put them down on the ground and look at them. One of the really neat things that we do when we get to the Earth in our model, when we get to the Earth and we put the Earth down on the ground, we look back at the bowling ball. And we see the angular size of the bowling ball. There you go. The angular size of the bowling ball from where we're standing on the ground. And then we're standing on the Earth, and we can look up at the sun with our eclipse glasses, and we see through our eclipse glasses that the sun is the same angular size as the bowling ball on the ground. And that tells us that our scale is correct. That the angular size of the bowling ball is the same as the angular size of the sun in the sky. So our stepping out is accurate. Do you believe that there are other people living on other planets? I don't believe it, and I don't think they're people. I think that there are probably some very intelligent creatures out there on planets around other stars, but I don't believe it. I think they are probably out there, but I don't believe it. Yeah, you can block the sun with your hand. That's right. In fact, you could probably block the sun with your thumb because the sun is only half of a degree. The sun is only half of a degree wide, and the moon is a half a degree. And our thumb, if you hold your thumb out, with a straight arm, it's about a degree. So your thumb is about twice as wide as the sun is apparent size. So check it out. Don't look at the sun without glasses, though. Don't look at the sun without some special eclipse glasses, because you could hurt your eyes. You could do that. So that's what we do, and it's lots of fun. It's eye-opening. We usually get out to Jupiter. We usually walk out to Jupiter and then we stop, because Jupiter is like 5 astronomical units out, and Saturn is just 5 more, and then Uranus is 10 more, and then Neptune's 10 more. So it's just be along the walk, and we're not going to do that. But they get the idea. They're pretty smart. They get the idea of that. Let's see. There was a comment there that I wanted to. Somebody said, "Morning, exactly 8,000 miles be blocked by anything." Patience, Einstein, it's silicon based. Yeah. So no, I don't believe. Does the sun have its own gravity? No. Sun has mass. The gravity is the force between two objects. So one object by itself doesn't have gravity. You have to have two objects that have gravity. For example, your body and the Earth. Okay? Because your body has mass and the Earth has mass, then there's a force of gravity between them. Yeah, we don't get into a whole magnetic field. This is introduction to astronomy. I don't get into that in the labs. We don't do that in the labs. There is a magnetic field out there. There sure is. And it can be fairly dangerous. That's one of the reasons that the Apollos tried to go around and over it. They tried not to go through the thick part of the magnetic field of the, what is it called, Van Allen radiation belts. So they tried to do that. So let's see, there was something else I wanted to say about the planets. That's about it. So I'm having them write an essay to tell me what's going on in their brain about comparing the scale model of the solar system with what their preconceptions were. If the sun were an 8-inch bowling ball, and why is that all planets are all around one? I don't know. That's a good question. We think it has to do with the way the solar system was formed. But if the sun were an 8-inch bowling ball, the nearest star, Proxima Centauri, would be about the size of a tennis ball. Now, we're in Greensboro, North Carolina. We're on the east coast of the United States. To be to scale, the tennis ball of Proxima Centauri would have to be in Alaska. That's the next closest star. So there's a lot of empty space out there. Well, not so empty, but there's a lot of space out there. So just the space between the planets gets one crazy. But then the space between the stars, amazing. So the next closest star would be Proxima Centauri, the size of a tennis ball. Another star that you've probably heard of is Betelgeuse. Betelgeuse would be the size of a football stadium. Not the size of a football field, but the size of a football stadium. I'm not sure if Proxima Centauri has planets around it. I don't know that. I know it's an interesting chain, isn't it? If you think of it like those Russian nesting dolls. It's sort of like that. It's an interesting... It's smaller and smaller and smaller. Interesting progression. It's crazy. So this week we're going to be using Skynet and doing some analysis, and that'll take us 2 weeks. We'll work on that for 2 weeks there. Venus. I learned a lot from you guys. Thank you very much, Speed. I learned a lot from you guys. I'm glad you're here. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. And if any of you guys, I neglected to bring my phone along today, so if any of you guys have Twitter, can you Twitter this? Can you put this on Twitter? Oh, here's my phone. Okay, hold on. Can I Twitter this? I don't know if I can add this on Twitter. Let's see if I can do that. Maybe get some more folks to join us. That'd be okay. And if not, that'd be okay too. Where are you, Twitter? There you are, Twitter. No, I don't want to go to Twitter. I want to go to Periscope. So today's challenge is about Venus. I taught for 30 years in the Guilford County schools. I taught astronomy and I taught a whole bunch of other stuff in the Guilford County schools. And after 30 years, I was hired by the High Point University to teach astronomy there. So I've been doing High Point University astronomy for about 12 years now, and I just really enjoy it, and it's lots of fun to teach. The students are great. It's lots of fun. One problem that it has, though, one problem that teaching has, is it takes me away from other astronomy, because I have other things in my life that I do. I do music, and I'm married, and I do church work and stuff like that. So it's with teaching is really fun, but it really cuts into the other stuff that I'm doing, and I only have a certain amount of pi space, if that makes sense, pi space for astronomy. And once that pi space is taken up, I got to let go of something else. So I haven't been doing variable stars recently. That's been kind of sad. I haven't done variable stars. Well, let's see. Here I am on Periscope. I think I can share this on Twitter. Let's see, share broadcast, and put it on Twitter, right? Okay, Twitter. Here you go. There you go. Tweet. Okay. Ah, there you go. I think that's shared on Twitter. Okay. So we've got some questions about Venus. Jorge says that he got his observer handbook. This is a really nice book. It comes from the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada every year. This is the 2019 edition. This is so dense. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Look how dense this is. This has so much stuff. Never, and I've gotten many copies of this. Never have I read the whole book. There's just so much in here that it's impossible to read the whole thing. At least I find it impossible to read the whole thing. But I'm having you help me decide what to read by you voting to tell me what to have questions about. So today, our questions are about the section on Venus. You voted last week that we would have questions today about the section on Venus. So Jorge, if you got yours, feel free to open it up to page 216. 216. One of the nice things I enjoy about the book, Jorge, you probably noticed it has the calendar section. The calendar section, they have one page for every month. Down here in the corner, if you cut that corner off, it'll help you turn to the next calendar. See, I haven't even cut off January yet. Okay, so if you cut that corner off right here, it helps you turn to the next calendar. I haven't even done it. Let's do that while I'm thinking of it. Okay. Cut the corner off. It's a handbook. It's an observer's handbook, and it's published by the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada, and they do a fantastic job. There you go. Cut it off. They do a fantastic job. Here, you can get a screenshot of it if you want to. It costs about 30 or 40 bucks. It comes out every year. Okay, comes out every year, and it's just full of information, full of stuff about astronomy, about observing. Okay, about observing stuff, and that's what the questions today are about. They're about observing. So Jorge has his. Maybe some of you will have yours. These questions, I hope you can answer these questions. You could answer the questions even if you don't have your book. Even if you don't have your book, okay? If you didn't get a book, that's okay. If you know a lot about astronomy, a lot about observing, you may be able to get these anyway, okay? So here you go. Now, I have 5 questions today. 5 questions today. The rules of the questions are, you have to wait until I'm done with the question, okay? Is that on the net in a PDF? I don't think so. I don't think it's on the net. I think you have to order it, okay? Fantastic. Hey, I'm glad. Great. It is fantastic, isn't it? I don't think it's on PDF. I think you have to order the thing. I don't know. It could be on one of those electronic books. but I've got 5 questions. You have to wait until I'm done with the question. If your answer comes up and I'm still asking the question for the first time, I'll ignore your answer, okay? So you have to wait until I'm done with the question. Spelling does not count. Spelling does not count. And I go by the first one that shows up on my screen. I know there's a lag time for some of you. I'm sorry, I can't do anything about that. But I go by the first one that I see. And I do go back and look at the replays and decide if there's a tie or if it's close or if I misread something. Okay, so I go by who has it first. If you get a question right, everybody here will know how smart you are. Plus, I will list you on my blog. Okay, and you can get to my blog by going down to these 3 dots down here in the corner, and you can go to my blog and you can see the current post of my blog is from last week. So you can go there and see what the questions were, and you can see Sky Guide. Yeah, there are several different apps. I don't remember which one I have. I have one like that too. So here you go. Oh, and if you get a question right, you have the distinct pleasure and honor of being able to go to my charities here. I have 4 charities. And you can go to my charities. And if you get one of the questions right today, and you make a contribution to one of my charities, I will match your contribution up to $100. So, and Tiki, please let me know. Drop me a line or something on my blog, okay? Because I want to match that. So here we go. First question about Venus. This is going to be a tough one. It's a tough one. Okay? Okay. If Venus is known as the morning star, what planet is known as the evening star? If Venus is known as the morning star, what planet is known as Jorge? Jorge got it. I can't fool you, can I? Was that too easy? No, Venus. Venus is the morning star and the evening star. Joel has it too, okay? Percano got you first, okay, Joel? Jorge got it first. Yeah, Venus is known as the morning star and the evening star. It just depends on which side of the sun it's on, whether it's on the dawn side or the sunset side. Venus. And today's questions are all about Venus. I know, isn't that something? I know, tricky question. I'm sorry. Okay, the question was, if Venus is known as the morning star, what planet is known as the evening star? And the answer was Venus. Jorge got that right. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Good to have you here, Marty. Yeah. Okay, they're not all that easy. Okay, they're not all that easy from now on. Okay. Now, if you read, you got a head start. But you don't have to have read the section. Okay, you don't have to have read the chapter. Here's the next question. When is recommended for observing the bright disk of the full phase of Venus? When is recommended to be observing the full phase of Venus? What time of the day or night? Not February. Although that might be a tricky question there. James, I'm going to have to look into that. You might be right. Oh, more general than that. Not 6, not 9, not midnight. Super Youper, 7 a.m. I'm not so sure. That's too specific. Too specific. No, I'm not doing a book club now, but we can start one if you'd like. Super, I might have to count that. I might have to count James too. This might be a poorly worded question. Daytime. Daytime, okay? The full phase of Venus? Yeah, the middle of the day. You got it, okay. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to check to see. Jimmy might have it. Somebody else might have it there. I don't know. But the middle of the day is the best time to see the full phase of Venus. It's a really fun thing at star parties. You can have a daytime star party, and you can look at the sun, and you can look at sunspots, and then you can take your solar filter off and go over to Venus and take a look at Venus in the daytime. And people really love that. It's up there. It's up there. So that was a bust question. It might be Jimmy. It might be somebody else. I'm going to check on that and see who gets credit, okay? Daytime. Well, I think Jorge may have read the chapter. Jorge may have read it. I don't know. He might not have. But if you should be able to answer some of these questions even if you didn't read the chapter. Okay? You should be able to, if you're an observer. Here you go. Here's one that's a little bit more specific. Okay, I know there's a right answer to this one. Okay. On February 18, Venus will be about 1 degree from what other planet in our sky? Venus will be about 1 degree. Remember, a degree is your thumb. Be about 1 degree from what other planet in our sky on February 18? Not Mercury. Not Mars. You're narrowing it down, narrowing down the field. Still not Mars. Daddy-o, Dado, Dado, Dado 2. Yes, Saturn. Saturn. So just in a couple of days, you can go out and look in the morning, and you can probably see Venus and Saturn up there. Venus is the really bright one. Jupiter's really bright too, but Saturn is the very dim one. It's the dim one, and you can see them getting closer and closer in the next couple of days if you have a clear morning. But Dado is correct. It is Saturn. Congratulations, Dado. I think that's your first one, isn't it? Is that your first one? Hello, Juicebox. I think that's your first one. Is this your first time here? Great to have you win. That's good. Congratulations. Saturn. Saturn is such an interesting planet. It's beautiful. It's got those rings to it, of course. Galileo, when he saw those rings, he did not know what to make of them. He thought he had seen a triple planet. He thought that there were 3 planets there together. But Saturn is very interesting. It's what they call rarefied, Dado. It's called rarefied. It's been a few months. Okay, good to have you here, Juicebox. Saturn is very rarefied. If you could find a bathtub, that was big enough and you filled it full of water, Saturn would actually float. It's the opposite of dense. It would actually float in the water. But the problem with that is that when you pulled the plug and let the water out, Saturn would leave one heck of a ring. Boom, boom. And the silence is deafening. You know, my students are required to laugh at my jokes because their grades depend on it. It's required. They still don't laugh at my jokes. Even if their grades are depending on it, they don't. One heck of a ring. Get it? Ring. Yeah. Venus will go pass above Saturn with its closest approach at 12 hours at 1.1 degree. 1.1 degree, just about 1 degree. And remember, your thumb, no, well, I joke around, but no, they don't. If you take your thumb, hold your arm straight out, from the position of your eye, because the way human bodies are made, typically that would be 1 degree. The distance between one side of your thumb and the other side, that's 1 degree. So your thumb would cover up like 2 suns. Okay, thank you. Well, then I'm grading your work. You get an A. You laughed. Sure. Now, at the end of this broadcast, we will vote. Everybody who's here will get a chance to vote and decide what our topic will be next week, what the topic of our challenge will be next week. So stick around, and you can vote on what our topic will be next week. I've already got 3 topics, and you get to vote among the 3. Astronomy class is so cool. Yes, it is. I agree. My number 1 goal, I tell my students this at the beginning of the semester, my number 1 goal is to not screw up astronomy. That I want them to leave the classroom with just as much, maybe more enthusiasm than when they came in. If they leave thinking astronomy sucks, I have failed. I have failed. Because astronomy is so cool. On the morning of March 2nd, Venus will pass the moon On the east coast, narrowing down to 3.4 degrees. April 10th, Venus will rise in conjunction with Neptune. And Mercury and Venus will be approaching each other on April 16th. Yeah, okay, a bunch of stuff. Now, this next question I need to put in a phrase here. Some of you may know it. Some of you probably know this, but some of you may not. Superior conjunction. Superior conjunction. If we have, say, Venus. Let's get Venus here. Let's get Venus. Hello, Venus. There's Earth. There's Venus. Okay, here's Venus. If we have Venus on this card and the Sun, Venus is going around the Sun, of course. It's going around the Sun, like this. Okay. If it's on this side of the Sun, if it's on the part of its orbit that brings it between us and the Sun, that's called inferior conjunction. But then when it goes around the other side, okay, the other side of the Sun, it's superior conjunction. It's superior conjunction. So you have inferior conjunction, superior conjunction. Inferior conjunction, superior conjunction. Okay? So that's an important phrase in this next question. Okay. Here's the next question. On August 14th, when Venus reaches superior conjunction, okay, that the Sun is between us and Venus. When Venus reaches superior conjunction, what planet will be visible 62 arc minutes above the Sun? What planet will be visible 62 arc minutes above the Sun? Not Jupiter. Not Mercury. It'll be visible above, not Saturn. Oh my goodness, I've thrown you off for a loop here. I didn't mean to be that complicated. No, not Mars. Not Pluto. Venus. There you go. Q-Van. Q-Vanny, okay? Q-Vanny. Q-Vanny, you got it. Yes, Q-Vanny. See, our orbital planes are not all the same. The Earth's orbit around the Sun is not on a plane that matches all the other planets. So when Venus is going around the Sun, sometimes it's superior conjunction. The Sun will be between us and Venus, but Venus will be at a higher point in its orbit. So it'll be on the other side of the Sun at superior conjunction. It'll be a nice full disk. It'll be a full Venus. But it will be, instead of behind the Sun, it'll be above the Sun. See? Like that. It'll be above the Sun. So this will be a really interesting day, August 14th, or the week or two before, week or two after. You want to go out and take a look, because Venus will be very visible up here above the Sun as it's passing around the other side of its orbit. It'll be above the Sun in our sky. It'll be real cool. Superior conjunction, inferior conjunction. Sounds like I need LeVar Burton here. I need LeVar Burton. We ought to have Schoolhouse Rock. Superior conjunction, inferior conjunction. Toot toot. Remember Schoolhouse Rock? Remember that? There you go. Oh, sick minds think alike. I love it, Joel. That's great. Last question. Here's our last question. So far we have Percano got Venus as the evening star. I think it was James, who got daytime for when to see a reading rainbow. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Shame on me. It was James who got daytime for looking at Venus when it's a full phase. Dado got Saturn, that it's going to be close to Saturn on February 18th. That's just in a couple days. Wait, that's today. February 18th, that's today. August 14th, we're going to be able to see Venus at superior conjunction above the Sun. So everybody mark that down in your calendar, August 14th. last but not least, on September 13th of this year, Venus will be in conjunction with what other planet in our sky? It'll be in conjunction with what other planet in our sky? On September 13th. Mercury is correct. Mercury is correct. Man, Jorge, you bookended it. You bookended. You got the first one, you got the last one. Mercury. You got Venus on the first one, and you got Mercury on the second one, on the last one. Very good. They'll be only 17 arc minutes apart. 17 arc minutes apart. They'll be really close. Now your thumb is about 1 degree. That's 60 arc minutes. 60 arc minutes. So we're talking, no wait, our thumb is 2 degrees. So that's 120 arc minutes, 2 degrees. So take that and have a tenth of your thumb width from one side of your thumb to the other side of your thumb is about 1 degree, 2 degrees, 1 degree. Shit. Excuse me. Am I telling you the wrong thing? Now I'm going to doubt myself. 1 degree. Okay, 1 degree. So you get about 2 suns in there. I don't know. People are silly. People are silly. I'd rather not believe the Earth is flat. I'd rather not believe the Earth is round. Okay? I'd rather think. I'd rather use my powers of observation and my powers of reasoning to think it, not believe it. Believing it indicates that you want to give somebody else authority over you, that somebody else is going to tell you what's true and what's not. I'd rather figure it out myself. And you can go out and figure it out yourself. Yeah, Venus is rotating very slowly. You can go out and figure this out yourself. You can see the evidence and come up with your own story. Okay? Well, there's some idea that when people have a mini stroke on the left side of their brain, when they have a mini stroke over here, and people do sometimes have mini strokes and they never know it. When they have a mini stroke over here, it makes them very paranoid. It makes them very susceptible to conspiracy theories. So I think that maybe some people who are into all that conspiracy stuff, maybe they've suffered some kind of brain injury. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. Well, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not watching you. Lasers, well, we use lasers. Scientists use lasers right now to measure the moon, to measure how far away the moon is from the Earth. And I use lasers when I'm out at the observatory to help point at stuff. If you get a little bit, just a little bit of moisture in the sky, not enough so there's clouds, but you get a little bit of moisture, you can really see that beam go up into the sky and you can point things out very easily. And people are the craziest humans. People are the craziest humans. Or maybe it's humans are the craziest people. I forget. So next week, before we shut down today, next week, here's our voting time. Here's our voting time. What would you like the challenge questions to be about? Okay? I'm picking them from the Observer Handbook. You are helping me. You are helping me read this because of all the years I've had it, I've never read a whole one. Okay? I'm not going to read this one either, but you're helping me read it. Okay? So here are 3 choices. 3 choices that you can vote for. Okay? Number 1, lunar occultations. I've never read the chapter on lunar occultations. Mars is number 2. Mars is number 2. And number 3, meteorites. So what would you like for our quiz to be about next week? Okay, 1, 2, or 3 of the occultations, Mars, or meteorites. I'll let you vote. I'll count up the votes when I do the replay. When I look at the replay, I'll count up the votes and see what you voted on. And that's what we'll do next week, okay? So that's your choice. Lunar occultation, Mars, or meteorites. You get to choose one. Vote for one. Yeah, if everybody's out to get, that's one of the things that keeps us alive, is a little bit of paranoia, a little bit. The big fascination with Mars, it's a place that we could go. it's a place we could go. Venus is a really tough place to go because it's so hot and it rains sulfuric acid. It would not be very hospitable. But with a little bit of work, we could go to Mars. We could do that. We could set up a base on Mars, maybe underneath the ground, to block it from the solar rays. Yeah, it has a lot of radiation, but if you get underground, maybe. Why not? Why not? We could go to planet X too. And we need to get out of the solar system. We need to go somewhere else, because in about 4 billion years or 3 billion years, our sun's going to go red giant, and we're going to need to leave anyway. So we might as well start looking now. That's okay. I'm not a believer in astrology either. I'm not into that. Okay. So here's your votes. I hope you voted. I'm going to count up the votes later on, and we'll see which topic wins. Okay. So please remember, Percano, who is it? James, Dado, Cavani. Please remember that if you go to my blog, and you can get to my blog by these 3 dots down here in the corner. You go to my blog. It's called An Island in the Sea of Mystery, and go to Show Support. If you give a contribution to one of my charities there, I will match your contribution up to $100. It could catch us by surprise. If the sun is on its last legs, it could catch us by surprise. We need to look at other stars and see that. I don't know what the signs would be. You know, we've only been looking at other stars now for about 200 years, 300 years, really investigating the light. So we still have a lot of learning to do. You know, if you have a tree in your yard and you're thinking it could fall down, well, how could you find out if it's getting ready to fall down? Well, I would suggest going to the woods and walking around and looking at the trees that are in the woods. And look at the trees and see a tree that looks like it's really falling down, and take a look at it and see what the signs are. Look at trees that are not falling down and see what they look like. And then go back to your yard and look at your tree in your yard and compare it to what you saw in the forest. And that would probably give you a good idea about whether your sun is getting ready to go red giant. So if we look at a whole bunch of other stars, we could get some ideas. Well, they could be planets similar to ours, but I don't know about life as we are here. Yeah, we're probably, our perception is probably very narrow. But that doesn't mean we can't get better. We can get better. We can look at more. We can learn more. Yeah. We can. It can get better. I think you're right. So we were listening to a nice little song by a group called the Chromatics. They do astronomy songs, Chromatics. And the one we were listening to was 9 planets. They made it back when Pluto was still a planet. Well, evacuating the planet would be tough. That would be a really tough thing to do. You know, somebody's going to get left behind, and we can evacuate the planet little by little. We can start now. We can start now and get off of this. Start getting some colonies, some permanent colonies on the moon and on Mars. I predict that if we were to go to Mars anytime in the next 20 years, this is just a prediction on my part, I predict that if we go to Mars anytime during the next 20 years, half of the crew will die on the way there. And the other half will die within a month of getting to Mars. I don't think that we'd be able to survive the solar radiation, the cosmic radiation. I don't think we'd be able to survive that. So that's my prediction. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But I don't think we'd make it. Maybe in 50 years, maybe in 100 years, we'll have the technology. You know, we could do it now if we had the political will and we had the economic drive to do it. I think we could live on the moon if we had the drive and the political and economic will to survive there and to develop the technology, but I don't think we have that now. The moon's a good first step. Europa, maybe life under the ice there on Europa. I would tend to think Titan. Titan in about 1,000,000 years, maybe 1,000,000,000 years. Titan ought to be a good planet to go to. As our sun starts to warm up and swell up and get bigger, in 1,000,000,000 or 2,000,000,000 years, Titan will warm up and it might be hospitable. Some scientists think that Titan is about like Earth was 3 billion years ago, maybe 4 billion years ago. Pretty cold, pretty bad place. But possibilities. Titan is, let's see, Titan is with Saturn, so that's about 10 astronomical units away. 10 astronomical units away. So it takes us 3 days to get to the moon, and that's like 250,000 miles away. Saturn is close to 1,000,000,000 miles away. Probably not as we know them. We probably won't exist as we know us today, but I hope that we're still around. Chances are that we're not going to be, but I hope. I think we're worth it. We're not really sure when it's going to happen. It might start in about 1,000,000,000 years, but it's going to get really serious in about 4 billion years. 10 times the distance from the sun to the earth. That's right, 10 times. 1,000,000,000. You know, 1,000,000,000 is a lot. A lot of people don't know really what 1,000,000,000 is. They know like the number with 9 zeros, okay? Is it 9? Yeah, 9 zeros. They know that. But to really understand 1,000,000,000, here, let me do a quick quiz, okay? Here's a quick quiz. Everybody who thinks that you've been alive for 1,000,000,000 seconds, please put in a 1 if you've been alive for 1,000,000,000 seconds. Don't do the math. Don't do the math. If you think you've been alive for 1,000,000,000 seconds, put in a 1. Okay? If you've been alive for 1,000,000,000 seconds. 1,000,000,000 seconds. You know what a second is. It's like now. That's a second. Okay? So 1,000,000,000 seconds. If you've been alive for 1,000,000,000 seconds, I see some ones in there. If you've been alive for 1,000,000,000 seconds, you're at least 33 years old. 33 years is 1,000,000,000 seconds. I'm about 2 billion seconds old. 2 billion seconds old. So if you're 33 years old, you've been alive for 1,000,000,000 seconds. You can do the math now. Hey, you make it. You're 1,000,000,000, James. You're 1,000,000,000. You're 1,000,000,000. About 32 and a half, 33 years, something like that. You can do the math. 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day, 365 days a year. You can do the math. Yeah. 27, you're not even 1,000,000,000 seconds old. Yes, you're just children. Look at that, 25 and 27. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to disparage children like that. You're just young people. So do aliens exist? I think they probably do. 64, good for you. You're almost 2 billion seconds old. Good for you, man. Good for you. Tina, okay. Tina, good woman. Yes. I haven't done that math. I have not done that. Oh, at 25 and 27, my job at 25 and 27 was being 25 and 27. That was my main job. So I imagine those two have their hands full. Well, just last night, for example, just saw the movie Contact last night, where we got a message from aliens. I don't know if we'd have denial or if we'd have panic. I don't know. I don't think they'll ever be here. I don't think they're going to come here to that. I don't go for the conspiracies that aliens did that. I think that that's part of European colonialism. European colonialism, that those poor people of color, whether they're Mayans or Africans, that those poor people of color just weren't smart enough to be able to do that stuff on their own. So it must have been aliens. Oh, no. I think that the people, our ancestors, the Mayans, the Incans, the people in the Congo, the Philippines, I think that those people, the people of color, were brilliant. I think that they did some brilliant things. They were wrong lots of times, but who isn't? But I think they did some brilliant things, and I think they could build pyramids, and I think they could pay attention to what's going on in the sky enough to know where Venus is and stuff like that. So, no, I don't go for the conspiracy stuff. I believe in human beings. I think human beings, yes, and Egyptians too. I believe human beings are smart enough to do that kind of stuff. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. So lots of fun today. Congratulations to all of our winners today. This has been lots of fun. Go outside and look at the stars. Please do that. The Chromatics were playing for us. They were singing about the planets. Let's get them back here to sing about the gas planets, the giant planets. Come on, guys. Here they go. Here they go. So I want to thank everybody for being here. Here they go. 4 more. 5 more. And here's my picture. You can do that. You don't have to have glasses to look at the moon. Thank you all. Here's my kitty cat looking at the planets. This is my kitty cat Lucy looking down at the sun and the planets that my students made. Thank you all for being here. Thank you.
Jupiter's a giant ball of gas like a sphere with a red spot. It's a storm that's reigned for hundreds of years. Saturn in the night sky looks so bright.
Yep, that's Lucy, a kitty eclipse.
You'll see a ring around the middle. Now Uranus is tilted on its side in the plane. Neptune's got another storm with chemical rain.
Chemical rain. Thank you. Thank you, Jorge. Thank you, Tiki. Thank you, Tina. Nice to have you here. Yeah, she's a big cat.
Maybe a slingshot from a giant's almost set it loose. Or it's the giant of the Kuiper Belt. That is a mystery about to unfold. With rocks and ice and chunks of things now very old. 9 planets are circling in a plane. And everyone is different now, let me just explain. Staying in their orbits like the tracks for a train. Chugging round the sun again and again and again. 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 Again and again and again.
Thank you all very much for being with us today. This is Let's Talk Astronomy. This is Dennis Hands. Wishing you a great week. Hope to see you next week. Keep looking up. Bye, everybody.